Hello and welcome back, everyone. This is going to be another Heart of the Swarm replay from LZ Gamer's replay pack. As you can notice in the bottom right, I finally added a webcam. My roommate I came home and he had left it as a present on my desk, so pretty cool. Not gonna lie, was very surprised. But anyways, every time you watch a video. So, in the top left corner of EGLordZergRC, we are going to have the former EG player. It is LZ Gamer as our red Zerg player. And in the bottom right, as our blue Terran player, it's going to be StartaleAce. TVZ. Heart of the Swarm. What should we expect? Well, Ace is not in fact walling off at the front, which is kind of weird. Not something that, well, pretty much anyone does. Typically you will see a supply depot, barracks, or command center, and then either supply depot or barracks, depending on which building you choose to open with. But he is in fact putting it back here. Barracks right there. This might just be because this map is fairly long. As you guys can see, the rush distance from one main, you have to go all the way down both these ramps, and then there's a huge outer opening, and then finally back up the two ramps. So it does take quite a long time. Really not a map that's super great or common to see any sort of like 6 pulls or proxy 2 racks or anything, although proxy 2 racks can be very, very strong. I have seen a couple people place them right here, and since there's a line of sight blockers and your scouting unit actually takes this path and then across, it does not in fact ever see them. But we do see a 15 hatch coming down before the spawning pool for LZ Gamer. Very standard stuff in TVZ. The question shall be, what type of opener does Ace go for? Is he just going to be making Marines and then yes, CC? So a very quick expansion, more than likely just going to put down a bunker on the low ground to make sure that he can thwart off any aggression, and then start a small supply depot wall. Usually takes about 2 supply depots on either side of the bunker. Where is this Marine headed to? Does look like he was aware. He did see this Overlord due to this SCV heading out for the scout, and he will more than likely get this Overlord. I can't imagine that he's not going to, although these minerals will help block just a little bit. Should not be too much of a problem. Double gas now coming down for Ace. Fairly standard stuff, and he does in fact not get it. Oh my gosh, just a little bit more space and LZ would have definitely lost that Overlord. 12 hit points, just barely squeezing it out. 2 queens on the way. We do see 3 workers in both gas. So he shall be teching up here pretty soon, looking to see this guy drop a factory, and there it is. So the question will be, will he open and continue with this bio opening, or is he going to switch into some heavy mech tech? Does look like we see a reactor coming down, so it is going to be reactored Hellions. The question will be, if he throws on an armory, then that means he is definitely preparing to make battle Hellions, and more than likely mech. 4 gas, nope, just 2 gas actually, up for LZ. Pretty standard stuff, just making sure that he can get out his link speed in a decent amount of time, get up a layer. Bunker back here, I kind of like, but at this point you might as well just put it right here. Then you limit the surface area here, and no Zerglings are going to really ever get back here. Can still protect the ramp, and that way it can protect more of your mineral line. This allows you to protect like maybe this gas, and depending on what units are in it, like this mineral patch. But if it's right here, then you can at least kind of protect this area. Probably we'll see a mini supply depot wall. Fairly standard stuff so far. LZ grabbing his 3rd and 4th gases. Layer on the way. And Hellions coming out for StartaleAce. Quick 3rd CC, so it does look like he's going to actually... Okay, well... And now we know he is going to be moving into a mech force. We do see 2 more factories coming down. More than likely going to be followed up with an armory at some point. I do kind of like this. He is walling off the bottom of his ramp, just leaving a tiny little gap that can be plugged. His 3rd and 4th gas are up and only has 1 guy mining at each, so, I mean, he doesn't really have any necessity for gas at the moment, as he's just, in fact, producing Hellions, which we can see only require 100 minerals, no gas. 4 out on the field so far. See if he chooses to push in and try and have a little bit of aggression, maybe snipe some drones, but there are queens already out and about spreading creep, as well as a spine crawler about to pop, and now 3 queens. He does bring that one from the natural up. Pretty good creep spread so far from LZ. This 3rd will be going down here, and I'm surprised that he hasn't actually got Marines out to start taking out these destructible rocks. Probably going to see these burrowed. Sorry about that, guys. Blue Flame on the way. 1-1 as well for the Zerg ground units. He is going melee, so he is going to be going in to, more than likely, some... Whoa, what is this? We see a hive at 10 minutes. LZ Gamer doing something that is even ridiculous for Wings of Liberty standards. This is an absurdly quick hive. These units are going to get burrowed, and 1 does go down. Overseer is here. Nice little pick off there of all of those widow mines. He is going to try and be breaking down these rocks. Should probably break down these rocks as well, just so there's not as easy of an entrance for the Zerg player to do Ling run-bys. Because then you have to bounce back and forth. Then you can just have Lings flood up into your main. And natural. That's no good. So he's going strictly into mech. We see this double armory, along with +1/1 coming down. Missile turret, just to be safe. Mutas are pretty popular in this matchup, especially now that we see the new mutas come out and into play with their health regeneration. Very, very nice. Really makes them much more mobile. You have to do a lot more of like poking in and then dipping back out, though, to make it effective. Drilling claws on the way. And LZ playing with some infestors, not something that a terrible amount of people have been doing in Heart of the Swarm lately. We do see a double spire and Ultralisk Cavern going down at one time. It's a hell of an investment into tech, but he is already had Hive done for quite a few minutes now, and it is only the 12:30 mark. Quite a bit of Hellions out on the map for StartaleAce. His supply is 40 ahead of LZ, and feel like if he gets up a big enough force here pretty soon, which it does look like he's already starting to muster up, he could push out and potentially do a ton of damage. But if he gives LZ just enough time to get up things like Kindness Plating and Ultralisks, this could be very bad. The 4th and 5th bases are on the way for LZ. 4th just now pops. And he did get a lot of tech up and got his tech really quickly, but he doesn't really have enough minerals off of 3 bases to make any sort of substantial amount. We can see now he is moving into 16 drones, so he's going to be droning up these 3rd and 4th bases hard. But now we see this move out that I was mentioning earlier from StartaleAce, and this could be very, very bad. A nice little fungal does come down there, but it looks like it takes, in fact, 3 fungals to kill Widow Mines, so that is not very good. This base is going to be picked off by this handful of Marines, and there's just nothing here for LZ Gamer. He's just now heading into Ultralisks really heavily, but the majority of his army is in fact Queens. As we can see, he has 2 Zerglings out, and then Ultralisks and 3 Infestors. The only thing he has is drones and some Queens, which obviously are very good units, more defensively, and they do have a ton of energy, so they will be able to keep this Ultralisk or the other 5 Ultralisks alive for forever. Excuse me there. Drop. Oh, nope. Just a run by 2 Blue Flame Hellions. Ultralisks there to clean it up, and he's moving straight into major Ultra Tech. Literally only making Ultras actually at the moment. He is already up on 6, going to be getting 5 more for a total of 11. Space did in fact not go down. Tons of Hellbat out, cleaning up some creep with all of these Hellions. And now this army for LZ does look quite substantial. We see it moving in here. These Ultras are probably actually a very good answer to this new mech composition, as Hellbats don't really do any splash damage against them. And we can see him just rolling through these tanks. They should actually unsiege to do a higher single target DPS, but doesn't look like they are interested in that at all. StartaleAce's supply dropping 80 in total, only has these couple Hellbats, and this is what happens when you let a Zerg sit back and macro up and then finally try to push after 14 minutes. Does not work. Note for Terran players. Now LZ is maxed, has +1/1 for his flyers out, on the way 2/2 for his ground units as well. And oh no, not a good day to be a Hellion. Ultralisks on the way. Does land a fungal. And sliced apart. Awesome new physics engine, by the way, from Blizzard. I know I've said that before in previous videos, but very, very cool. Adds a lot of unique elements to the game. 3-2 coming down for the mech army. And he is directly just making Hellbats, not even worrying about making any sort of Hellions and having to switch them. Yes, they lose a little bit of mobility, but it's really not that big of a deal. Viper coming out. He now has anti-air with all of his corruptors, just in case he started switching into a pre-Viking phase. +2 Flyer Carapace coming down. Greater Spire is on the way. So once he trades out these Ultralisks and a few of these Queens, he'll be able to actually just remax on Corruptor Broodlord, and that is a hell of a tech switch, especially for a Terran to have to deal with. Much easier to deal with Bio, as Marines can shoot up and forward. But with this mech army, unless you have Thors in it, and are already making some, you will not have enough anti-air because you need a bunch of starports, in fact, to start switching into that anti-air. And as we see, we only has one starport, but he is getting down a fusion core, and that means that we are going to see a couple starports thrown down here. One is coming down. 6th base for LZ, as well as the 7th base now going up, and his opponent is only on 4 bases. Going to be moving out here, and these units having quite a bit of trouble moving. He is on creep and is going to siege up a couple tanks here. And we are going to have a huge engagement here. Line of Ultras chewing through these Hellbats so quickly. They just completely fall. Blinding Cloud eliminating 5 or 6 of these tanks as well. And LZ really showing how to use these new units as well as the Ultras with this damage upgrade. Remember guys, they do more flat damage, but do not have a bonus versus any unit type now. Fifth on the way, finally for StartaleAce, but just feel like it's going to be too little too late. I mean, the bank of LZ Gamer is absolutely hilarious right now. Do like that he's utilizing sensor towers. It's still something that we don't see a terrible amount, unless it's TVT for some reason, which I don't really understand. I feel like you would definitely want that in a TVZ situation, or even late game TVP when you have to deal with a lot of, like, you know, warp prism harass, things of that nature. And he threw down the fusion core, but then threw a reactor on this starport, so I'm not really sure. Maybe he just knows he does not have time to wait for battlecruisers. He has already seen so many corruptors, knows that broodlords are in fact incoming. And with this push happening here pretty soon, it's not looking good for Ace just yet. He's going to have to get out quite a few more Thors. Actually has none in production at the way. 2-3 now. Well, actually 3-3 about to be started for LZ, as well as 3-3 for the ground attacks. This third base having to be evacuated due to the lack of air support, and he is going to, in fact, try to punish this base as well. Takes down this base quite quickly, but now the Ultras catching up to this army. And StartaleAce really trying to just put on some pressure here and buy himself some time to possibly make that battlecruiser tech switch. He does have both of these players have a ridiculous bank at the moment, so you would assume that they're going to start doing so, but 4 Vikings versus 12 Corruptors, not a good not a good count for our Terran player. He is in fact producing a crapload of Vikings at a time though. Really ramping up production. He needs to get in more starports with tech labs though to make that switch to the ever elusive battle cruisers. He's still putting pressure on over here. It does look like he did in fact snipe this base. And StartaleAce really playing nicely here, just spreading out the kind of slow, immobile army of Zerg. And those Corruptors are going to go down. This base falling as well, and this is the problem with having Broodlord Corruptor. You can just run around and really can't do too much as Zerg. You just kind of have to attack and stop letting your opponent do so much damage. Losing a couple Widow Mines there, really not too terribly big of a deal. So we can see these supplies are fairly even. He is getting up a nice smattering of Vikings and really limiting the income from LZ Zerg. If we check it though, he is still quite far ahead, as he does have this base which has quite a bit of income, and this base now finally finishing up, as well as this base, but this is about to expire. And with mules, Terran really needs to keep expanding late game. I mean, look at how many SCVs are right here. If 2 pages, not good at all. But there's creep covering just about everything. He can almost pretty much only take this base, and with a little bit more creep spread, he could even cover that. He's gonna have to bait him back into these Widow Mines, but there's so many Overseers here that he should be aware of this. And these Broodlords actually drawing fire from the Siege Tanks to eliminate all of these Widow Mines, and now it is going to be a straight-on engagement. StartaleAce, there's no way that he's going to be able to pull ahead in this. I mean, all he has are tanks versus Broodlords. Obviously, Broodlords win that fight 10 out of 10 times. And he doesn't even have enough Vikings, let alone the upgrades are, in fact, so much farther behind. 3-3 about to finish up for this Air Force. And this is more than likely going to be a pretty soon GG. And now even more Corruptors joining. An entire page 24 out on the field. 4 more on the way. +3 is about to finish. And, oh, this is not a good spot to be in as StartaleAce. We can see 122 of 199 supply. And it does look like he's just going to go for some counter aggression. Knows that he cannot, in fact, handle the force that is out from LZ. And he doesn't even have to make Broodlords anymore. He just has so many Corruptors. And he actually has a pretty good amount of Broodlords. 14, in fact. So, plenty to kill off just about any force. And at this point, with the immobility of LZ, this is probably not the worst idea to just go for this base race, but if he has any sort of like roach tech or anything like that, he can just start making smaller units and really attack all of these Terran buildings very quickly. Now these Vikings being chased down by Corruptors. Ace putting forward his best foot here, but it just will not be enough. He's going to have to take out so many buildings. I mean, if we just take a look at the Structures tab, tons of stuff versus like 1 in every single slot. I mean, 5 hatcheries right away. That's huge significance over 2. SCVs now being transferred though to this orbital, or this planetary, and this guy is going to try and land, but it is not in fact going to work. And he is trying to force a base race here, but losing so much, now going to be heavily supply blocked from these Broodlings. He's pretty much losing all of his supply depots, and this actually counts as double. Not good at all, so that's going to drop significantly. These Corruptors just hanging out, and LZ has to be thinking, why in the hell are you staying in this game? He is doing a pretty good job forcing the base race, though, I must say. I mean, there's not a terrible amount of structures left. But at this point, LZ doesn't really need anything. I mean, all he has to do is sit his Broodlords right here, and there's no way that the tanks will ever be able to engage. Now, mass starports coming out. Very interesting. Does look like he's going to, in fact, try to just build a ton of Vikings and take this back, killing off the couple of structures here. These Ultras actually being caught by the tanks, not good, and this infestation pit will die eventually as the creep recedes, but once these Broodlords get back here, that's game. These tanks will in fact die. They have no way out of here. He's really going to start trying to kill everything, but there's still this base for LZ. StartaleAce, though, I mean, as far as structures are concerned, actually has a significant amount more. It does look like he's going to try and take this base. It is now noticing that the creep has slowly started to recede. It's funny, it's actually separating. It's like a chasm of creep. He's going to get this brute, or this, no, does not get the Ultralisks, so that means that these will stay alive, but again, the creep will start receding, and as we can see, like, this infestation pit slowly losing health, but this base is still up. These units are still up and alive, as well as the Ultralisk cavern, and if he can get any sort of larva, he can just keep remaking whatever he pleases. Now going to be using these Corruptors to scout out exactly where the rest of the buildings are for StartaleAce. So, pretty good job so far from Ace, really trying to force that base race, but just not sure that it's really going to end up being enough. These Vikings on 3-0 versus 3 Corruptors, and, well, there's about 100 Corruptors to, like, 10 Vikings. Yeah, really not a proportional amount at all, sending in a hilarious amount of changelings just to see what is going on. StartaleAce microing his heart out, but does not appear it is going to be enough. Vikings falling, Corruptor still standing, and this planetary trying to be salvaged, but there is too much here from our XEG player LZ, and the GG is in fact called from StartaleAce. Thank you guys for watching. Very, very good game between two pretty high-level players. More of a macro-oriented game. So, really, no problems with that. A lot of the games I've been watching recently, as far as Heart of the Swarm has been concerned, involve a lot of very early pressure. And I do like to see people explore their options, especially with it being the beta. Kind of nice to see all the new units being utilized to their fullest. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Feel free to check out the YouTube channel at /SGCW and follow me on Twitter so you can receive updates as to when I put up new videos. Get up new content every single day. Have all sorts of casts planned for you guys, as well as a ton of new Heart of the Swarm action coming very soon, especially once the game